Aloha. This is clarification number 8 from A Course in Miracles. Introduction to lessons 291 through 300 with Hope Johnson. What is the real world? The real world is a symbol, like the rest of what perception offers. Yet it stands for what is opposite to what you made. Your world is seen through eyes of fear and brings the witnesses of terror to your mind. The real world cannot be perceived except through eyes forgiveness blesses. So they see a world where terror is impossible and witnesses to fear cannot be found. The real world holds a counterpart for each unhappy thought reflected in your world, a sure correction for the sights of fear and sounds of battle which your world contains. The real world shows a world seen differently, through quiet eyes and with a mind at peace. Nothing but rest is there. There are no cries of pain and sorrow heard, for nothing there remains outside forgiveness, and the sights are gentle. Only happy sights and sounds can reach the mind that has forgiven itself. What need has such a mind for thoughts of death, attack, and murder? What can it perceive surrounding it but safety, love, and joy? What is there it would choose to be condemned? And what is there that it would judge against? The world it sees arises from a mind at peace within itself. No danger lurks in anything it sees, for it is kind, and only kindness does it look upon. The real world is the symbol that the dream of sin and guilt is over, and God's Son no longer sleeps. His waking eyes perceive the sure reflection of his Father's love, the certain promise that he is redeemed. The real world signifies the end of time, for its perception makes time purposeless. The Holy Spirit has no need of time when it has served his purpose. Now he waits but that one instant more for God to take his final step, and time has disappeared, taking perception with it as it goes, and leaving but the truth to be itself. That instant is our goal, for it contains the memory of God. And as we look upon a world forgiven, it is He who calls to us and comes to take us home, reminding us of our identity, which our forgiveness has restored to us. And that concludes the text. What is the real world? So this clarification, also an introduction to the next 10 lessons, is highlighting the role of the real world as both a transitional state and the final reflection before the truth reveals itself. So the real world is a symbol. It's not the final reality. It's not heaven. It's a symbol of heaven. It's like a bridge. It's like a bridge between the dreams you made and the truth. It's still within perception, but it's a perception that's completely corrected by forgiveness. In the real world, all perception is reflecting God's love, no fear at all. And it cannot be perceived except through eyes forgiveness blesses. Forgiveness is the entry point to the real world. When the mind isn't fully purified of fear, it's still projecting a fearful world. Forgiveness is Forgiveness is what removes those blocks, so your perception naturally shifts toward gentleness, and then you can only perceive gentleness. For every image of fear in the ego's world, there's a corrected vision in the real world. So wherever you saw threat, now you see safety. Wherever you heard attack, now you hear kindness. Wherever you felt loss, you now feel wholeness. Wherever you felt sickness, now you feel vitality. So it contains the opposite counterpart to every upset, every image of fear that you've ever projected, the ego's world. A mind that has forgiven reflects the same inner state. Total forgiveness, total self-forgiveness. You can't be condemning yourself and expect to see a kind world, because perception is always mirroring the contents of your mind. So it's your self-condemnation that causes you to perceive a world that's not kind. That's a trip, huh? Notice that. Just notice that. It lets you know you want correction and you need correction. In the real world, the mind has no interest in condemning or labeling anything. There's just no need for judgment. Judgment gets totally replaced with recognition. Everything you see simply shares your safety and your peace. I know for myself, I still find myself doing it. Just perceiving something that doesn't seem fair, that doesn't seem right. And so I practice. I recognize that as being unforgiveness in my mind. That's how we practice. We bring it to correction. It's not about judging yourself for it. But this is what we want. This is our goal. And recognizing this is what our goal is, we can offer all these things up to be corrected. The real world is what signifies that the dream of sin and guilt is over. That's what we want. Time is no longer being used to prove that separation happened. We want to use time just to prepare for that instant when God takes the final step. After that, time disappears. The real world doesn't last. Once the ego's world is gone and we're perceiving only the real world, that's not going to last. That's when God steps in and just takes the final step. The Holy Spirit's work ends when the mind accepts the real world completely. At that point, he just waits with you for God's completion of the journey. So when you start the day, if you start in the day with this, which I recommend before going to the next lesson, just take a day for this. It'll take you longer than 365 days, but this isn't about time, right? This is about seeing. I have lots of friends who like to do A Course in Miracles in a calendar year of 365 days. That to me feels like pressure. What if you need more than one day for one lesson? What if you want to take a day and do one of these clarifications, use one of these clarifications? I would suggest not going by the calendar if what you truly want is to see. I mean, if you want to check something off your list, then by all means, that might go on for a while until you're like, okay, let me actually see. Right? In the morning, you might commit to looking at everything as, what would the forgiven version of this look like? Because that's what the real world is, the opposite of what you made. Whenever you're confronted with any fear or judgment, what would the forgiven version of this look like? And then watch your mind shift into gentleness. This is awesome. Then in the evening, you can reflect on how you felt when you allowed the day's events, some of the day's events that were fearful, they seemed threatening, they seemed unfair, etc. And notice how that felt. It's really, you're getting into a visceral sense. This is beyond the words. You want to feel this. You want to feel this real world dawning in your mind. This isn't something you strive to create. It just naturally appears when you stop making the world. You stop making the fearful world. You make it by believing and listening to thoughts that say it is as you see it. The real world is the final dream. The dream where nothing's condemned and everything is witnessing to your own innocence. That's why it's so gentle. From here, you're so close. Just a breath away from God's final step. So if you're doing this as a practice, I recommend following the same instructions as given for the lessons. Twice a day and every hour. Let yourself remember that you want the real world, and you would contemplate, what is the opposite of this? And what does it feel like to accept the opposite? What does the forgiven version of this look like? And let your mind shift into gentleness. Have a beautiful remembrance. I love you.